Hi, Caleb with Brown Nuts here. Joined again with Adam from Spiritus Systems. Adam, thanks for coming back out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And today we're going to talk about materials. The extent of what I know about this really is that it's made in the U.S.A. I think you can give us a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, sure. So being a manufacturer, we focus pretty heavily on the materials and the origin of the material itself. And because we do sell to the government primarily, we have to focus heavily on where that material is built. So everything we sell falls under basically a Berry Amendment, which you can look it up online. You can really get into the weeds about what the Berry Amendment means. But as a whole, it means that the items that we manufacture and sell to the government have to be sourced and built with U.S. materials in the U.S.A., right? So that's what we really focus on. We have to chart essentially every single item that we sell, and we have to know where it came from, like its origin. We have to have all that information, and at any time the government can ask us for that, basically to prove that the things that they're buying from us are actually sourced in the U.S. So everything you see up here, we just have some samples of products, but all these materials are U.S. materials, which is it's not the case with every nylon manufacturer. There's a lot of nylon manufacturers in the United States who use materials not sourced in the U.S. So they could be getting them really from anywhere and just selling those into their nylon. Law enforcement and civilians do not require Berry Amendment compliance, but we just as a general rule, we just still build everything, even if they're for those markets, we build it out of the U.S. materials.
So speaking of those different materials, all these materials don't look the same. What all do we have here?
Yeah, sure. So we use a variety of materials that you will find across like our whole product line. Probably the material we use the most is just Cordura nylon, and this is a 500 denier. And we can get into the weeds on deniers and what that means, but for the layman, it just means 500 denier is more supple and soft than, let's say, 1,000 denier. So the higher the denier weight, the more rough the material is going to be, the more robust it's going to be. 1,000D Cordura is used in a lot of nylon, but it's almost double the weight of 500. And when you start getting into plate carriers and things like that, it just becomes very heavy. Whereas the abrasion resistance is not that much more, right? So it's almost like a diminishing return as you go up in material weight or as it pertains to human performance.
Right.
So we do everything in 500. There's been products released in 330 denier, which is even lighter than 500. But we think that the sweet spot is at 500 denier. So that nylon does really well with sewing shapes. So this is, there's basically two rectangles on this Mark IV chassis. It's very supple. You can really shape it into whatever you want. It's a material that is going to last a very, very long time. It's going to stand up to the elements, to UV, things like that. The specific types of Cordura that we use, the dyeing process ensures that the material looks the same from lot to lot of material. We get a bunch of rolls of fabric in. We want to make sure that the Ranger green that we have right now looks the same as the Ranger green that we have in a couple of months. So there's a specific process that we use for selecting material, and it has to be done a specific way. Another material that we use that's on a lot of products is Velcro, and Velcro is a very large brand. They make a very good product. They are the name brand. There's hook and loop material. It was developed by NASA actually, but we use Velcro specifically, and again, that material is dyed in a similar fashion. We want it to be consistent, right? So seeking out consistent materials means that we're not always able to cut corners per se, because we can't find the cheapest always. It has to be the right material, and that's really what we focus on, is the right material over the cheap material. We also focus heavily on NIR compliance, which again can be very scientific if we really wanted to get into it, but for the layman it means that our materials are designed to defeat infrared viewing or imaging devices, right? Night vision. So it's not going to, they're not going to glow, or they're not going to be highly contrasted against another material. They're just going to kind of turn into like a gray color under night vision. So we make sure that we always select that. When we can, we always try to select that type of material.
Yeah, excellent. And looking at this here, this appears to be laser cut, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. It is laser cut, and this material is actually a laminate that we made the Mark V out of. We use laminates on a lot of other products too. The plate carrier, we've been using them for a long time, but laser cutting, if you laser cut like a Cordura nylon, it will basically fray. It'll fray and fall apart. This material is called Squadron. A company called Brookwood manufactures this. And that material is actually 1,000 denier Cordura and a 500 denier Cordura that is essentially glued together, right? So they're taking two materials and then they're adhering those two materials together. And when you laser cut this, it actually basically is doing like a searing process on the edges. And so the material will not fray. You will not have those unraveling fibers that eventually will cause the material to fail. So we have a laser in-house. Again, we manufacture all of our own stuff. So we basically put through big sheets of fabric or big rolls of fabric into a laser, and it cuts these designs out. And then we also do a die clicking process on the Velcro. So we have a big machine that we put pieces of Velcro in. We push a pedal, and then it basically punches out this design, and then we sew them together.
All right. Yeah, excellent. And let's talk about this other piece of equipment here. What is this made of? Yeah,
so this is the Thing 2, and this is a expansion piece for the microfight chest rig system. It allows you to carry some other pouches on it. It is made out of a material. Well, it's made out of the Squadron material we talked about, but more specifically, you're talking about this kind of carbon fiber almost looking material, and it gets mistaken for carbon fiber a lot because it shares that kind of woven property or appearance, but it's actually a thermoplastic, and we laser cut this as well. This comes in a bunch of different weights and styles. We are actually spearheading some initiatives with this. As you can see, this is gray. It doesn't really work well with the black, and that's something we're aware of. But we have been pushing for the development of a black Tegris material, and that is actually coming towards the end of development right now, which we're super excited to bring to market. And that's another thing that we really focus on at Spiritus is materials development. So we work with mills and manufacturers to kind of push the envelope. So we have the black coming out. We're also pushing kind of the NIR compliance issue as well, making sure that this material does not glow under night vision. So that's coming along. We also worked really closely with a company to develop all of the multicam flavors of Velcro, M81 Velcro. So a lot of other manufacturers are now enjoying kind of the fruits of our labor of trying to get these right and being a part of that process, which was, at the time when this came out, this material, this Velcro, no one had color matched Velcro. Multicam was pretty much the only Velcro out there. Now, there's all of the multicam color variations as well as M81, and we're starting to see even more printing processes. Again, this is NIR compliant as well. So that's just something we are always trying to push the material science and to always deliver, high quality US made materials, and really not just settling for a material. Like, we use this because this is contract spec Tegris for the US Army. So we use it, but we know that there's a better option as well. So we're also working with the company who manufactures this to try and, kind of push the envelope a little bit, move the industry forward as far as material science goes.
Well, Adam, I think it's clear that a lot of care and thought went into not only selecting the materials, but the implementation of their design as well. I think that's something that a lot of our viewers and customers are really going to appreciate. So again, Adam, I appreciate you coming out and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep, absolutely, anytime. And if y'all have any questions or comments, feel free to post them down below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.